What you're seeing here is something I see all across the country as we work on labeling nationally. People want to know. People are interested. And while I've been sitting, while I was listening to the nice music, I was looking at the full-page ad you may have seen in today's Sentinel, which I'm assuming has appeared in papers all over the state. I have been out of the state until late last night. And, you know, I'm reminded of my favorite philosopher, Lily Tomlin. She has a great line. She says, no matter how cynical I get, it's hard to keep up. There's a lot in this. I could honestly spend the next hour with you talking about this ad and some of the claims in it, but I do think there's some fundamentals that we should discuss about this issue. And as you know, a very important vote is coming up here in New Hampshire, probably on Wednesday. This vote is made all the more important by the fact that Maine's governor signed their bill just this last week, as you may have heard, and Connecticut's already signed theirs. And the Connecticut and Maine bills are contingent, that is, in favor of labeling, are contingent on 6 other states passing. In Maine's case, it specifically requires that a state that's contiguous with Maine pass it. I think we know who that is. It's not New Brunswick. So it is important that New Hampshire legislators hear from us all, and so I really am honored by this turnout. As Michael mentioned, I actually chair this national effort, which is supported by over 700 institutional organizations. We represent healthcare, consumer advocacy, religious, academic, philosophic, philanthropic, environmental, food and farming constituencies. It's a very, very broad group. And we've been pressing for federal labeling because, in fact, ultimately, we do believe that that's what we need. We do think that we need to join the other 64 nations in the world, really progressive countries like Russia and China and Saudi Arabia, who all have given their consumers the rights to know. We actually secured, about a year and a half ago, we secured 1.4 million petitions, and you can still join today if you go to justlabellit.org and add your name if you haven't already. We are now shooting for 2 million, and I'll talk some about that near the end. That's, by the way, the largest number of citizens to ever comment on any FDA regulation in the history of the FDA, and yet we still have not had action. And a lot of it is because, again, the kind of corporate response that we're seeing here, the kind of spending against us. But while I am spending most of my time, really probably 3/4 of it, working on national labeling, the reality is these states are very, very important. As often has happened in our nation's history, its efforts need to start at the states, where legislators are frankly closer to citizens, and there's plenty of precedents. The women's suffrage movement really began with states and cities moving to give women the right to vote before we added the 19th Amendment. It's impossible to imagine that there was a time when women couldn't vote in this country, but it really began as a state effort. Menu labeling, banning trans fats, BPA, privacy laws have often all begun in states. And this is unfortunately what tends to happen where we have, again, a massive, massive lobby in DC. And where I spend most of my time, I can tell you that you can't attend a single hearing on any subject related to food policy in DC and Capitol Hill without seeing the lobbyists there, even unrelated to GMO issues. For example, in immigration reform, you will see the biotech companies in there because, again, the lobbies are so powerful and they're so pervasive. And so, again, the road to getting it done nationally is certainly an uphill battle. And again, these individual state efforts help. Now, I often just launch right into the technical aspects of this fight, but I realize that I need to take a moment and let's just be sure that we're all talking about the same thing. So let me just talk about what are GMOs for just a second, because it's not very complicated. You will see all kinds of obfuscation out there. But very simply,